Alright guys, so we are here at Fort Mose Historic State Park in Saint Augustine. Alright, let's go check out what the state park has to offer. Let's go make some memories. It says on the shore of Robinson Creek, quarter mile east of this marker, was the site of a Spanish mission for Indians left homeless during Queen Anne's War. Since 1688, Negro slaves from the English colonies had found refuge in Spanish Saint Augustine. On March 15th, 1738, the Governor Manuel de Montellano freed them in the name of the king, and later formed a village for them named Gracia Real at Mose. Here the freedmen would cultivate the ground and learn the Catholic religion. From their protection, a moated earthwork was erected called Fort Mose. And it says in 1740, during the British attack against Saint Augustine, the freedmen evacuated Mose and Scottish Highlanders occupied it. At daybreak, in a decisive blow on June 26, the Spaniards ejected the enemy from the fort and later demolished it. The freedmen resettled the village and rebuilt the earthwork in 1752 and later formed a militia company. The British dismantled Fort Mose during their rule in Florida. After their return, the Spaniards rebuilt defenses at Mose in 1797. The East Florida Patriots occupied the deserted site in 1812 during their ill-fated attempt to overthrow Spanish rule. The local garrison, aided by the Negro militia and Indians, forced them to withdraw. There's a lot of history here, a lot more than I realized. Alright, so after looking at the sign here, it says, I was saying Fort Mose. It's actually Mose. I was pronouncing it wrong. Sorry about that. This is just talking about, oh wow, look at this. Several sizes and shapes of glass beads were found at the Fort Mose excavation. Check that out. The King of Congo greets the Capuchin monks. You got an example of some of the shackles they would use to hold the slaves as they brought them over across the ocean. That was known as the Middle Passage. So Fort Mose 1, it says, in 1738, after more than 100 runaways arrived from Carolina, the Spanish governor established Fort Mose. And the King of Spain at the time said that any slaves that escaped, if they could make it to Spanish Florida, they would be sheltered at Fort Mose and would be safe, as long as they would convert to Catholicism. Interesting. And it says here, residents of Mose promised to spill their last drops of blood in defense of the great crown of Spain and the Holy Faith. And it says here, Bloody Mose. It says in 1740, the English attacked Saint Augustine, but departed after a bloody battle at Fort Mose. Governor of Georgia, James Oglethorpe, invaded Florida with a sizable force, including Lower Creek's and Uchis Indian allies. Fort Mose inhabitants evacuated to the fortifications of Saint Augustine while the city withstood a month-long naval bombardment by royal ships. Wow, for a month. Just being bombed. Just before daybreak, June 14, 1740, a detachment of Spanish forces, including Indians and freed black slaves led by Francisco Menendez, attacked the British at Fort Mose. They killed 75 surprised English invaders in brutal hand-to-hand combat. English referred to the battle as Bloody Mose and expressed horror at the defenders' ferocity. As they're fighting for their freedom, they're going to do anything they can. 12 years after that bloody Mose battle, Mose residents returned to the frontier and constructed a second fort and community. Most of them were destroyed during the siege of St. Augustine. But from 1740 to 1752, most Mose residents assimilated into urban life in St. Augustine. In craftsmanship, how do you say that? Artisanry and trade, while others worked as cattlemen and foragers. Others served as sailors and corsairs in raids against English settlements and ships. It says in 1752, the reluctant free blacks rebuilt their settlement near the original fort and unfortunately once again became Spanish Florida's first line of defense. Alright, then finally here it says evacuation. Spain seceded Florida to England in 1763 and Mose residents departed with other colonists for Cuba. During Fort Mose's final years, life on the frontier grew more difficult. Constant attacks by English and Indian raiding parties drove Mose residents to seek protection each night inside St. Augustine's fortified walls. The English capture of Havana in 1762 sealed the fate of Florida's Spanish settlements. The peace treaty ending the 7-year war called for Spain to transfer Florida to England in return for a more valuable island of Cuba. Rather than face an uncertain life under English rule, Mose residents joined the exodus of over 3,000 colonists and headed towards Cuba. Their life began again for these frontier warriors and their families. There's this little boardwalk area. Looks like it only goes to right here. into like this swampy, kind of a swampy area, I guess. You see some private residences over that way. And then over this way, oh, you can see the bridge that goes across the river over to Saint Augustine. So you can get out to Saint Augustine Beach. That's what that bridge is, way over there in the distance. Way over there. And just a little overlook. Swampy area overlook. That's it. Pretty cool. Alright, so back here behind the Visitor Center Museum is this picnic area here. And there's even like a little tiki hut over there. Those people are walking the dogs. That's pretty cool. And then going back this way was that little... Going back this way is that boardwalk, like overlook that we just did. So I guess to go... Oh, and then there's like a little replica of a boat that's here. A boat with an oar. Barca Chata, I guess it's called. That's interesting. So I guess to go into the museum, I believe it's like a $2 charge. It's like a visitor center / museum. Not sure about the restrooms, if there's even restrooms inside. I'm gonna peek, because all of us have to use the restroom, but I'm gonna go inside the museum, I think, either way. Let's go see what's inside this state park. It says Fort Mose Historic State Park and Visitor Center. Fort Mose has been designated a National Historic Landmark, 1994. There's the plaque for that. And then here's kind of what it looks like up on the building. Okay, so when you do first come into the Visitor Center, there are restrooms right here on the left that you could use without going into the museum. They do have a few other facts here as well. Cannonballs. Different stuff over here. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Where do you pay the $2 at when you go through there?
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Neighbors to the north. Got some different stuff in here. Look at that old teapot there. Alright, so to get into the museum, I paid my $2. So I'm in here now. It's got the dates of the fort, 1738 to 1740, and 1752 to 1763. This is just depicting the flight to freedom.
My name is Mundo. This is my story. My family and I were slaves on an English plantation in the
It was the first free town, which we mentioned earlier. If people could get to Fort Mose, they would be able to be free as long as they promised themselves to convert to Catholicism and to fight for Spain. Musket balls and gun flints. Interesting. In English, hello friend, hola amigo. And then in Timucuan, it was Quale Chico. Sorry.
Many different types of people. I saw Marquesas to the Spaniards, American Indians, enslaved peoples, and free blacks.
It's an old weapon. Cannonball. Some small little musket balls there. Oops. I'm on the wrong side here. So this is kind of like a replica of the way the city used to look, the way the fort used to look back in the day. Talking about all about food. It's like they know me. You've got your olive jar replica there. Wow. English slipboard plate. Look at that plate. And here's where you get to your grinding, your smashing of stuff and grinding it down. And overall, this is a very, very well done museum. Very well put together. Definitely worth the $2. Keep it going. This is talking about how we mentioned earlier how the people fled from this area down to Cuba. Alright, so just outside the visitor center and museum here, they have like this monument. They have the flags, of course. They're at half-staff for a reason I'm not aware of, but they have the Florida state flag and the American flag down. And then there's a monument here. An obelisk. That's nice. That's out in front. Like I said, there's the museum and visitor center right there. So I guess there's a pathway to freedom type of walk up here at the far end by the parking lot. We're gonna go explore and see what that's all about. All right, so just off the parking lot here is what's called the Walkway to Freedom, Fort Mose Historic Site, established 1752. No bicycles, walking only. So there's like a boardwalk here. I'm not sure how far this goes. Not sure what it leads to exactly. On the map that they provide on the website and that you can get inside the visitor center there, it just looks like it's a boardwalk that walks out. So I have a feeling this just walks out a little ways and probably just comes to an end. It's just showing you like what the people had to do to get to this site. I mean, look at the water and the ground they had to walk over. Swampy water. God knows what's in that water. You know, when you're walking and you're not familiar with the area. We know that there's alligators in water anywhere in Florida. There could be snakes. Who knows what. Habitat scavenger hunt. See, there's little crabs here. Cordgrass, black needle rush, saw palmetto, live oaks. Oh, look at this guy. He's interesting. It just says the area they had to walk through. But for freedom, you're willing to put yourself through anything. Understandably so. I mean, you weren't 100% free. You still had to convert to Catholicism and agree to fight for the Spanish, but it was better than being enslaved, for sure. Oh, it's moving. Is it safe? I'm scared. What is it? It's moving. Hello. Are you subscribed to the channel? That's what I expected. No! That's it. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. It's talking about the changing sea levels. Look at the size of Florida way back when. 20,000 years ago, they estimate. 400 feet lower sea levels. This is if the sea level increases just a mere 20 feet. Orlando would almost be waterfront property. The University of South Florida would truly be in South Florida. About time they got it right. Different birds you can see here. It says all that remains of Fort Mose is buried underground, hidden beneath the island soil and surrounding salt marsh. But they've been able to find different artifacts. Some like we saw in the museum. Here's some examples of those. See, we're here right now. And then when you're looking out this way into the water, to the right, over this direction, would be the Fort Mose 1 from 1738 to 1740. And then the second one's almost more directly in front of us. Right out this way, from 1752 to 1763. We're going to wrap up our quick visit here to Fort Mose in Saint Augustine, Florida. Like I said, it's a free state park to get onto the grounds. You only have to pay that $2 in the visitor center. Definitely worth the $2. Make sure you check out the boardwalk here that's behind me, the Walkway to Freedom. It shows you where the actual original forts were set up at, which is kind of cool. Like I was telling Tori, I said if you walk all the way out to the end there, you'd think, oh, it's a pretty view. You wouldn't realize the history. But it's nice that they have the signboards there so you can realize where the forts were and then walk along here and figure out the actual history. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave us a comment down below if you ever visited this location before. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and we'll see you soon.